internationally known.
When I be on the mic,
I'm internationally known, yo. I'm internationally known.
when I be on the mic,
So all hail the honorable. I'm internationally known.
when I be on the mic,
I'm internationally known, yo. I'm internationally known.
when I be on the mic,
So all hail the honorable. I'm internationally known.
when I be on the mic.
I'm internationally known.
Welcome to the Being Neo podcast, episode 13. You guys have been waiting a very long time for this episode, and I do apologize. There's just been way too much going on. And as you guys have known from the first 12 episodes, I come 100% clear, uncut, raw, and real. And so before I introduce the guest, that's right, I said it, there's a guest. You guys don't have to listen to me talk for an hour by myself. But that said, seriously, as always, I want to start the recording with a fact. So because of today's topic, which we're going to get into, we're going to talk a little bit about webcam modeling. Are you ready for this? So fact, after Romania, the second highest number of webcam models are located here in Colombia. Yes, I said it, Colombia. Ernesto Lopez is the studio's owner and manager of, what's the name of his agency? It doesn't list his agency, but right now webcamming grew exponentially after COVID-19. Prior to COVID-19, it was said to say there was about 30,000 webcam models here in Colombia. Post COVID-19, the numbers to be estimated at 85,000 webcam models. Holy crap. Dude, that's a lot of webcamming. Whatever, that's the fact. So you guys know I share my life completely openly. So I received, as I was working last night around 2:00 in the morning, a comment that was left on a YouTube video from a year ago. You guys know which YouTube video, how it is to date a webcam model here in Colombia. That video continues to stimulate the most amazing conversations with people all over the place. So right now we have Jesse on. We're going to talk to Jesse about his experience. Jesse, welcome to the channel, bro. How are you?
Nice to meet you, man. How you doing?
I say welcome to the channel like we're on YouTube. This is on YouTube, but technically it's welcome to the podcast. I'm doing good. I'm glad that you commented. I'm glad that you were courageous enough to have this conversation and share it with the world, even though, there's only like 6 listeners right now, so you don't have to worry too much about what you say. But first, my first question to you is, tell me a little bit about where you're actually from originally and how long you've been here in Colombia. And if I'm correct, you're in Colombia right now at the time of this recording.
Yeah, I'm in Colombia right now. I've been here for 8 years. Originally I'm from the United States, from Texas.
Okay. What part of Texas?
Houston.
Houston. It's so funny. So I'm currently, for those of you that don't know, I currently have a roommate. I don't ever do roommates. So some of you are like, no way, Neil's got a roommate. I do. I have a roommate. It's a temporary thing. He actually is a business partner. He's been here for a month. He's from Poland. And so I say all that to say he has lived in Texas for, oh my goodness, the last several years, in Austin though. Those of you that don't know, I lived in Dallas for 2 years. I think it's hilarious how many people come here from Texas. I don't know if it's like a cultural thing or just a transition or what, but there are a lot of people here from Texas. And what's like the shout out to Life with David. I think he's recording things now in Mexico for some kind of TV series production, but I think it's a novella. But he's from San Antonio, I think. So I think it's just so funny how many people come from Texas and find their ways here to Colombia. So how long have you been here, and what's your favorite city? What have you done? Why did you come? Are you just a sex tourist that decided you wanted to come have sex with as many Colombian women as you possibly can over a weekend, or what?
So I have been in Colombia now 8 years continuously. So been here.
It's not very often I find someone that's been here longer than myself. It's going on 4 years for me. So
as far as the favorite city would have to be Bogota.
This is how I know this is a man that knows what he's talking about. Bogota is by far my favorite city. You said you're from Texas, so that's cool. I'm originally from New York. When I first flew into Colombia, I flew into Bogota. And then I spent my first 6 weeks being introduced to the country in Bogota. And Bogota itself is just, oh my goodness, the people are great. Everyone says that it's cold there. I love the climate. My dog loves the climate. I mean, Bogota is incredible. The restaurants are so much better. I feel like the people and even the friends that I developed my relationships with when I first came in, I'm still friends with now. I can't say that for Medellín, man. It's just a different vibe. What has your experience been in terms of that aspect of just like the people and the differences?
The differences in people, they say Bogota is a colder people because it's a colder climate. I didn't find that. Everybody's just busy like they are in New York. They don't have time to sit and talk. But once you start making friends, it's a lot better.
Agreed. And I also feel like in Medellin specifically, they're a lot nicer here. But for me, I don't care how long I've been here. I don't care how great my Spanish is. I mean, hell, all of my friends here laugh when I talk because they feel like I'm like 100% Paisa. But the reality is that the people here in Medellin, you don't know why they're being friendly. It's like, what is it that you want from me? And that's why you're being nice right now because you're hoping to get this thing accomplished. And some of them play the long game. Some of it's like, hey, yeah, let's be friends for months. And did you know I needed to pay this for my kids? Can you help out? And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? I mean, it's on a regular basis. Like, I can't tell you how many friends I've had here, even like over a year that have come to me like, hey, you know, I need 9 million pesos. And I'm like, yeah, that's crazy. I'm sorry about that. Like, it's just something that I've never experienced in Bogota with all of the friends I've had in Bogota. There's definitely been like women of interest that have only wanted this thing or that thing or the other, but it's never been a shady bullshit. I mean, look, I say this in one of my podcasts. I had sex with a girl the first day I arrived in Colombia. The very first day I met her in Exito, the grocery store. And she didn't play the long game, but the very next day she had us booked for a trip to go to Santa Marta.
Yeah.
But that was like crazy. She was very upfront about it, and we never went. I deleted her number and I never saw her again. But yeah, you know, it happens. That said, how long were you in Bogota for?
So I was in Bogota for 4 years. So I did spend quite a bit of time there.
When you first came into Colombia, your plan was to live in Bogota for 4 years?
I really just play by ear. I work online, so I can live anywhere in the world. So it really doesn't matter to me where I'm living. I liked Bogota. I spent the quarantine through Bogota, and after the quarantine, all my friends kind of left because I had a lot of friends from other countries there as well, and they all kind of went home, and the whole vibe in Bogota changed during the quarantine.
Yeah, I hear a lot of people saying that. I fortunately didn't experience Bogota until I can't say after COVID, but like post, you know, the time that you could actually come back into the country and travel. So,
Somebody's doing maintenance on the building downstairs.
It's okay. It's so funny. So, you know, I know I'm very transparent with you listeners, but we always have a little bit of a conversation before we jump into a podcast recording. And when you told me you were in Laurales, the first thing I thought to myself is the whole reason I left Laurales is because I didn't care where I was at. There was always construction, like every single day. And I mean, and those of you that watch my videos, follow my socials, you know this. It was annoying. It was just so annoying. I was like, you guys are never going to finish this construction. It's always something. And I don't care where they started. It was like, okay, now it's the next street.
Yeah, I've been in this apartment for the 4 years I've been in Medellín. And until 5 weeks ago, never had a problem. It was always quiet. I live on a side street. So it's been really quiet, but my downstairs neighbor 5 weeks ago decided to do construction in her apartment. So
well,
I get to
congratulations for having the 4 years of peace, and I hope that this construction is finished rapidly.
Yeah. Construction in Colombia takes forever.
Yeah, no kidding. So I started mentioning you left a comment on my video on the webcam model posting. I think it was part 1 that you left a comment on. And guys, listen, if you reach out to me, I respond. I'm real. I think if you guys some of you follow my TikTok, some of you follow my Instagram, some of you follow my YouTube, whatever. I am still real. Like if you message, if you comment, I'm reading them. I don't have an assistant reading them. It's coming to me. I interact. So at 2:00 in the morning, when I read this comment, I was like, the first thing I will say, I had other comments on the video. I don't respond. I respond to all comments, but I don't actually like take the time to reach out and have like a conversation. But one of the things that you said in your comment, and I was like, okay, this guy seems like he'll be open, was you said, don't judge me. It was that time of the month, but, you know, sex was still had, basically. And I was like,
which I found out yesterday wasn't the case.
wait, okay, hold on. We're going to get into that in a second. But my point in saying that as a disclaimer for everyone that's just now new to the channel, I keep saying I'm transparent, but I really am. So we're going to have a conversation. If you are listening to this podcast with a curious mind, it's a great episode to listen to. If you're listening to this podcast because you'd like to take a judgmental perspective or viewpoint on anything that's said right now, sign the fuck off, because this isn't the podcast for you. I am really about connecting with people. I've never met Jesse. This at the time of this recording right now, it is 2:58 in the afternoon. I read the comment basically 12 hours ago, and here we are connecting. So I genuinely do want to connect with random people and share life, share experiences, and you know, I hope that those things lead to other people being able to gain insight into their life and how to live it and the choices that they make, the decisions, experiences, etc. So before you tell me about what you found out yesterday, tell me what it was about that video, which, guys, I will link in the description, the video that I'm referring to in terms of dating a webcam model, part 1 and 2. So if you haven't watched those, watch those. But what from those videos connected with you and gave you the desire to want to connect with me?
Basically, you went through the same experience that I'm going through now.
Construction and Morales?
Yeah, construction and Morales. Basically, I mean, a little different. You knew going into it you were dating a webcam model. I don't think you really realized the depth of that. What it entailed.
No, I didn't. I thought I was I don't want to say I thought I was a white knight, but it just didn't matter. It didn't matter to me that she was a webcam model. You know, the whole thing that had attracted to me in the first place, I think I kind of go over this, but my braider, shout out Trends Medellín. If you need braids here in Medellín, his name's Adrian. He's absolutely fantastic. And he's really like family. Him, his wife, his kids, like they're like family to me here. So he posted this picture of someone's braids that he did. And I looked at her and I was like, oh my gosh, this girl is beautiful. And if you know her, I need to know her. And at the time, before anything else, I mean, like I saw her picture. I didn't even check her profile. I'm not a huge social media consumer, though I share a ton on social media. So I hadn't even looked to see that she was a webcam model. It wasn't until days later when Adrian, my braider, was like, yeah, man, we can do like a dinner or something like that so you can meet her. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. And that's when I was like, well, let me check out her account or whatever. And that's when I found out she was a webcam model. And I don't know, I've dated prostitutes, I've dated strippers, I've dated all sorts of different women. And not just since I've been to Colombia. I mean, I've had some serious relationships with quite a few strippers. My first ever polyamorous relationship was with a stripper out of Austin, from Austin. And God, that was such an experience. But in either case, I digress. I don't want to have like flashbacks on the podcast. But you know, for me, when I saw it, I just was like, you know, just like I just told the listeners, don't judge me. I don't want to judge you because this is your job. You know, obviously, everyone grows up, has a different experience in life, and most of us are unhappy with what we do for work. So, you know, for me, I was kind of like, let me just meet her and, you know, see who she is. And there was no pressure because it was a dinner. So you didn't know she was a webcam model. How did you actually meet her?
So I've been single for a while. So my friends were kind of trying to set me up with somebody.
Your local, like, Colombian friends?
Yeah. So my friends told me basically they know this girl. She's a good girl. Her family owns a business here, and you know, she's going to college. Okay. So they gave me her phone number. We chatted for a while, just going back and forth, just verifying, because here you got to be careful.
Wait, here in Medellín, you have to be careful? Isn't it 100% safe? What do you mean?
I wish.
I think the last I checked, which was like a month ago, the statistic was there's 8 foreigners dying a week here in Medellín. Yeah.
It's mostly due to stupid things.
Yeah, I mean, it's mostly due to pussy. Let's just be honest. I don't like any of you listeners that just got offended. Sorry, not sorry. But like the reality is, these desperate men are coming here for sex tourism, losing their shit because they want to get laid. And dude, I'll be honest, like with every experience I've ever seen where like the women or woman has been revealed, dude, these women are like 5s or 6s. Like they're not 9s. I'm like, you lost your life to try to have sex, and they didn't have sex because they got drugged. So like you lost your life to have sex with a 5. You could have done that in any country in the world and not lost your life. Like, why would you do that? But it is a sad, unfortunate thing. I think that I hope that these type of conversations help stimulate change. Honestly, in that, it's one of the reasons I don't live in a heavily tourist area. One of the reasons I left Loralis, other than just the construction, and so I get that. So your friends hook you up, you chat, you're verifying. When you say verifying, what does that mean? You're verifying like she's real. You're verifying that.
Just verifying everything matches up. Who is she? Where does she come from? Who her family is? Seeing if we get along in text. Because there's no point if you guys don't get along in text to meet up.
Yeah, that's true.
Then finally, I picked a place and I sent her an Uber and had her come to me.
Oh, we're going to talk about sending the Ubers. I have recently, as of, it sounds weird if I say I kind of chilled. I've been chilling the dating.
I'll tell you why I sent her an Uber.
Please.
Because I get her address so I can check out her address, like using Google Maps. Afterwards, look at where she lives, what kind of area she lives in. That's why I like sending an Uber, because they have to give you an address so you know where they live.
All right, so
at least so.
Jesse, I don't know anything about her, right? I don't know anything about her, but I'm going to ask you a question. I just want you to be honest. I'm going to ask you yes or no questions. Is she in the northern part of Medellín?
No, middle.
Middle, north of Poblado or south of Poblado?
North of Poblado.
North of Loralis, south of Loralis?
Other side of the river.
Okay, so like Aranjuez.
Yes. It's either Manrique or Arcones, right?
Like every time, man. My webcam model that I fell in love with, the first one was closer to the Loralis area, but I had so many opportunities to date webcam models since then. I think one of the things that I definitely have not talked about was the amount of webcam models that my ex was friends with, that had talked about our relationship with, that then hit me up after. The number is somewhere around 7. Okay. No complaints in those departments, but I digress. So you're verifying all these things. I get that and understand that aspect. For me, I don't send Ubers anymore, because if I had to send you an Uber to get you to where I was, you're already not financially stable enough that I can believe that you're into me for me. Like it's just that even if a girl were to walk into my apartment right now, I mean, I've got a $3,500 laptop, I've got $1,000 web camera, you've got all these studio lights. This one light in US dollars is $100. So like, I can't deal with that aspect of, you can't figure out how to get 10,000 pesos to come see me. Because the reality is, we're talking $2 or $3. And if you can't afford $2 or $3, there's no way in the world that you're going to interact with me in my life and it's not of interest for money. That's how I look at it. I just had some girls over the other day, and yes, I said some girls. It was a plural thing. I do that very often. And I mean, I bought some food. We did some grilling, bought some beers. And one of the girls was like, "Hey, I want more beers." And I was like, "Well, I bought 24. So if you'd like some more beers, we could go to the grocery store. But, if you buy any more, you'll be buying them." She bought more beers. For me, I was like, cool. Like, I have gotten so far out of, and it's really just because I've been burned so many times now, to help with those things. Like, And just for everyone's point of reference, so like a 6 pack of, let's say, Club Colombia beer here, you're talking like $4. It's not crazy. $4.55. So like women that are listening to this, if you can't afford $5 when someone's already bought you enough beer to be drunk on, then I can't get behind it anymore. But these things have been an evolution of how much dating. And I will say this, it doesn't matter how long you've been here, but it depends on the dating scene,
I typically don't date women that are around me. And I understand that because, before this relationship, I was dating a school teacher that was 35.
Where? You said not around you, like other countries, like back in the U.S. or?
No, like around me as far as Medellín goes. Where I live at is a pretty expensive district. You know that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But so the school teacher that was 35, was she Colombian here in Colombia?
Yeah.
Just outside of your city. So like still like you could go on a physical date or something.
Well, she was from another city, like a smaller city here, but she's teaching school in Medellín.
Okay, so she was in a pueblito, but she'd come into Medellín for work.
Well, she lives here now. She lives in Bello.
Oh, okay. That's where I'm at, people. Ladies and gentlemen, I am in Bello. If you want to come see me.
She's making good money, but I think the killer of everything is, they make. This is what I've found, and I've lived in a lot of countries.
Okay.
Very few women know how to budget their money. And they spend above it, and they start racking up debt.
Listen, no shout out to Colombia and Colombians. I'm sorry about this, but the reality is Colombians have such a short-sighted viewpoint on everything in life. It drives me insane. I've been here long enough to say I love the country, I love the people, but it doesn't matter Colombia. It's the same reason why people in the ghetto in any country are in the ghetto. It's because they can't prioritize seeing faster or further ahead than yesterday and tomorrow. And if you can't plan for beyond tomorrow, you're going to make bad decisions today. It's just the reality. So it's unfortunate.
I've been to a lot of countries and I've lived in different countries. And no matter where you are, be it the United States, I've lived in different states of the United States. I've lived in Colombia. I've lived in Egypt. I've lived in Japan. I've lived in different countries. It's always the same thing. They live paycheck to paycheck. The statistics now are 75% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck.
And it continues to get worse. And it's crazy, man.
You can't just complain about Colombians are this way,
No, that's why I said like every ghetto. I don't care what country it's in.
And it's not even the ghettos. I have rich friends in the United States that live paycheck to paycheck.
Well, yeah, I just said ghettos based on people being broke. But yes, the reality is, I remember having a friend that had a beautiful house. But everyone was like, "Oh my goodness, she must be rich. She did all this construction." And I was like, "She's been buying gift cards on eBay at half price, and this entire house is charged up on credit cards because the gift cards were purchased with credit cards." And so technically all of this has not even been paid for, but enjoy, and it's like, So I do think that's one of the huge misconceptions. You're 100% right. Is that, people have this viewpoint of other countries and they see them like, oh, they're so wealthy. And it's like, no, they're just charged up on debt, which isn't any better than you here with no food. Like it's the same.
Yeah. The school teacher that I was dating though, she was making 3.3 living in Bello and was living paycheck to paycheck. So she was making good money.
No, guys, we are not torturing her for making good money and not being able to save it. That's just the construction that you hear in the background.
Yeah. But no, a Colombian, she's single, has no kids, 3.3. How are you living paycheck to paycheck?
First off, let me just say, listen to me, if you're a Colombian woman right now and you can hear and understand my English, and you are 35, single with no kids, and making 3.3, you should hit your boy up. And I don't care if you're living paycheck to paycheck. I'll teach you how to fix that problem. Because what you just described is a unicorn.
There was no chemistry. That's what happened between them.
Okay. Chemistry is important.
Because she didn't have time for me. Because she gets up at 3 a.m. She has to be at school at 6. Gets off work at 4 p.m. usually. Then she has her little things because she's 35, so she has her hobbies. So she liked to go do a dancing class, an English class, go to the gym. By the time she was done, it was 7 o'clock at night, back to bed.
Cool. I like it. I feel like that's my lifestyle. I just cut my sleep short. But I feel like that's cool. I like that. But that's definitely for you guys that do not know women here, and especially in Medellín. It's not the typical household. So cool.
No.
All right. So your friend hooks you up. You verify everything. Hit me with the first date. How does you send her the Uber? She comes to your house.
Yeah. So I didn't send her to my house. I don't like people to know where I live to begin with until I
Okay.
out, because you never know. And
And when you said you were talking to her, you're verifying these things. How long is this time frame? Are you talking to her like a few days, few hours, few weeks?
talked to her for about 2 weeks before we met.
Okay, that's serious investment. Okay.
It's going back and forth. You know how women are here. They'll text you, and then 2 days later they'll text you back.
Yeah, those women don't get replies from me anymore. But yes, that is 100% true.
Until they're invested in you, they don't really respond.
Yeah, I'm so out on those things, man. I'm actually kind of dating this girl right now that had a similar situation. I hit her up, and she responded to me 2 hours later, and then she was like, "I thought you had time for me," and I was like, "I did 2 hours ago."
Yeah,
I don't know, like you know what I mean. But okay, so you don't send her. Yeah, genuinely, it is. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. If I can text my clients back within a 30-minute window, I don't expect anyone to deliver on their phone, and I don't expect any like immediate text backs. But 2 hours, yeah, no. She was replaced with someone else. We had a great time. But so she comes
first
to where?
Yes, she goes to a restaurant. I meet her at the restaurant. We sit down. We have dinner. We're talking. Everything's going good. She likes animals, so she decides. I was like, well, what? Vibe was good. So I'm like, well, why don't you come back to my house so you can meet my dog?
No, guys, that's not his pickup line. Okay, that was not his pickup line. Come back to my place.
Honestly, I wasn't trying to get anything more than that. Just she loves dogs. She was talking about my dog, so she's like, well, yeah. It was walking distance to the restaurant, so we walked back to my house. I have a balcony, so we're sitting on my balcony. Nothing crazy going on. Just talking. And that was probably like 9 o'clock at night. She comes back to my house, and we're sitting there talking, having a good time. It's like 11, 12 o'clock at night, and she's like, I need to go home. And I was like, well, why don't you just stay then? We're getting along well, so she stayed with me.
Okay. Now, I've got so many questions.
Go ahead.
What was the response to the come meet my dog? Was it apprehensive? Was it? Claro que sí, absolutamente.
She was the same. She was kind of like in the same boat. She wanted to see if there was chemistry and if we got along in person.
Okay.
There was. Okay. And honestly, for Colombians in general, she's not my type.
When you say she's not your type, personality-wise, body type-wise, what makes her not your type?
She's a little taller.
Okay.
Yeah, she looks more like a European. She has brown hair and green eyes.
Green eyes. Sucker for eyes. So, okay. I can see you get wrapped in. Now,
she's very pale. I usually go for the short brown skin girls and morenas.
Okay. That's so funny. So for those of you listeners that are not watching the video and just on podcast listening, and for those of you that aren't really like aware of Colombia is unique in the sense that there are not. First off, there's like no racism here. There are a few for different reasons, obviously, like all around the world. But there's really no racism in terms of like looking at someone and being like, oh my God, they're black. Which is when he said Moreno, he just was trying to be, I don't know, I guess correct for whatever the fuck terminology is in 2024.
You realize at this point that there's, like in the United States, there's black, then there's red bone, then there's different shades of black.
There's fucking midnight black, like yo, smile because I really can't see
black,
yeah, like Right? I feel like there's people right now saying, he said midnight black. Yeah, listen, don't let the camera confuse you. I'm black, okay? Look at my color skin. There's lights on right now, but it's not an illusion. You would see me and think I was black, so it's okay. That said, though, I totally get that. I feel like
You realize
I don't date a whole lot of millennials.
Yeah, but like the morenas are like, they're not black. They're like more of a tanned color.
Here, yeah.
They're,
Cali. Have you been to Cali, Colombia?
yeah.
So Cali is one of my favorite cities. I hate the heat though, and there's no beach, so it really makes the heat kind of pointless. But the people there are amazing.
If you make friends in Cali, there's a lot of rivers nearby that you can go swimming in. They're like 20 minutes away. That's how they cool off.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I wasn't. I've only been to Cali once, and I was there for a month. But I was going through such a whirlwind of different relationships at the time that I didn't do a whole lot of exploring. It was very much coffee, work, sex. So I was kind of the rotation. But all of that said, so she spends the night. What's the morning like?
So the morning was fine, and she's like, "Hey, I got to go to work." The first thing she does, like, I got to get up at 7 a.m. to work, my own thing, and if I wake her up, I only got to work for like an hour. So I wake her up. I'm like, "Hey, you got to go," and she's like, "No, I'm gonna sleep in," and then she just stays. So she stayed with me for like 3 days the first time.
So we're gonna wait for Mr. Saw to stop. Okay, so dinner, I'll stay the night, turns into 3 days.
3 days.
Did she have clothes for 3 days?
No.
Oh, how did that happen? So what was the solution to that?
So like the next day, I sent her back to her house, and 2 hours later, she came back with clothes.
Oh, okay,
She wasn't prepared. I had to give, like, she wasn't prepared to spend the night. So she didn't bring a toothbrush. Luckily, I have a pack of toothbrushes, like all the stuff she would need to stay.
I just found out a friend of mine carries bikinis. He's a Colombian guy. He lives in Poblado. Santi, shout out to Santi. I don't care. I'll shout you out, bro. He's a Colombian from Colombia, and I didn't find this out from him, but one of the girls that was here with me, who I'm dating right now, she was like, "Yeah, do you have a bathing suit?" I was like, "Why would I have a bathing suit? No." And she was like, "Oh, Santi has like." She names these girls that were at his place the last time, and she's like, "Yeah, he had a bathing suit for everyone." I was like, "Pimp game strong."
You got to be good for that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I got to take that one out of the book. I won't listen. I do have my own things that the hidden treasures, but I've never done the bathing suit thing. In either case, so send her home. That makes sense. So one, I'm impressed that she goes home and wants to come back. That must have been quite an impression. So she goes home, she comes back. Just hit me with the rundown of like what's the stage like? I'm gonna shut up and just let you tell the story.
So basically, we spend 3 days in bed, and it wasn't all sex. It was talking like about each other and what's going on. We spent hours and hours just that connection where, how do I describe it to somebody who doesn't understand that kind of connection? It's like talking is better than sex. You're vibing, you're getting along, you're just telling about your life, and she's talking about her life. And it's just a total vibe because you can tell somebody's into you. Like they're just totally into you, and they're, like you can tell when a woman has chemistry, they're not touching you, they want to stay away from you. And like, this woman was touching me the whole time, wanting to take care of me, wanted to give me back rubs, it was just awesome.
It's so funny that you're saying all this because, I mentioned a few times now the kind of like the changes or adjustments I've made being here. And I am 100% in a relationship right now that is with two women. It's kind of this poly triangle that's developing really well. And it's been culminating over the last 2 years. And the reality is that the one thing I've noticed more than anything has been the shift in, yes, great sex, but that not being the factor that drives the energy, connection, or exchange, or the passion and the connection and the chemistry. And I feel like you had said to me in a text offline, like we both had similar aspects possibly of dating, hurt women. And I thought a lot about you saying that, and my thought process on that has evolved. I think it's less about dating damaged women and more so dating women where you could have an immediate impact in how you could show a change or adjustment in their life by them being connected to you. So it didn't necessarily have to be money. It could have been experiences. I know 4 languages. It could be in a language exchange and having a conversation. But there was always some point in time where with these women, I was trying to prove my value to them in some way, shape, or form. So I say all of that to say, I get that. And I think that that's one of the reasons why, knock on wood and thank God, I've never been drugged by a woman, because the reality is I'm not led by the physical. And I don't know if it's because I've had such an incredibly amount of sex. I mean, I've had a lot of sex. So I don't know that it's that, but it's definitely a more clear experience when it's not led by that.
Going back to the beginning, I see a lot of tourists coming here that are not having any type of luck in the United States or where they're from. They can't get women there. So they come here and they think that coming here, they're going to be able to find a very attractive woman, date her, marry her in a tourist zone, which is basically all hookers. It's all prostitutes in those zones. And even
I try to tell people, even if they're at the fucking mall working, like they work at this mall, not in the mall that they live at, because they wanted to meet you, John. And people just don't get it. They don't understand it. And I'm just like.
But I mean, most women here at some time in their life has done sex work. It's just normal.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
The normal women that have jobs that, even maybe they did sex work in their past, they don't want to date tourists. They don't want to see you for a week, twice a year, 3 times a year. You're attracting the wrong woman by doing that. You might as well just go pay for it.
Yeah, I think it's less headache for you, less headache for them, and it's safer.
If you go onto one of the websites, you don't want to go somewhere because they have the houses here that cater to that. You can go there and have fun, and you're totally safe there.
Makes so much more sense.
When it's their job and you have them come to your house, I've done that before. They come to your house, you don't have any problems other than
let's dive into that. Why do you think that is? I mean, why do you think it is that there are men that are dying when there's so many safe options to have sex with women here? Because let's be honest, every idiot that's been, excuse me guys that have passed away, I apologize, but it was an idiotic move that ended your life. So for everyone that lost their life getting scopolamine by a chick and died, why didn't they just go to a brothel, go to a website, have why not just openly hire a pro?
I think it's either the social or religious stigmata with that even though we pay for sex no matter what we do as men, we're going to pay for sex just the way it is. I think they don't want to pay up front. They want to actually meet a girl organically and let it develop.
Okay, so you're a nice guy, Jesse. I feel like you're genuinely like a nice dude. I'm not a nice guy. So let me just be honest. What Jesse just said is, you fuckers have pride, and you're like, oh, I'm not gonna be the one to say I paid to have sex, so I'm gonna die instead and be on the fucking news.
But then they don't have the street smarts to, like the, no offense, but the guy last year that was Asian.
Oh yeah, Ken is his name.
I don't.
It was Ken something, but yeah,
Asian guy died last year. He was dating that girl for a good 6-8 months. Didn't really do any background check on her. I assume she probably said, "I don't have a Facebook," and he didn't really know anything. So he got led by his dick. He trusted her to the point where she said, "Let's go to Robledo and let's go have dinner where I live now." And he trusted her to go there, and that's what got him killed. Was not controlling the situation.
I think what got him killed is that Asian people have a different body type, and you really can't judge their weight properly. So I think they just overdosed him.
He didn't get scopolamine.
Well, we're talking about two different people then. Tell me more about this story.
This happened in November, December last year.
How did he die?
They basically tied up his hands. They called his brother. He called his brother, and they asked him for $2,000 to his brother. His brother was on vacation, didn't think it was urgent, said, "I'll get it to you in the morning." And so they took him down to a ravine, beat him up, then cracked his head open with a rock. Because
I don't know this story.
He didn't get any money, yeah.
Damn it, I don't know the story. We're going to talk about. We'll talk more about that offline. I'm not going to unpack that now because that's not what this podcast is about. But we definitely need to talk about that. I tell people all the time.
He just got into it. You know, that there's a few stories you can look online that they lure you to a place, then there's people waiting for you. That's what happened to him.
Yeah,
his apartment probably for sex, and there's her boyfriend with a few other guys waiting for him.
So crazy to me. It's not crazy to me. Yeah, that's so sad and unfortunate. I think that's one of the things for me that, I have a lot of clients that they find my YouTube videos more so on my Snapchat, honestly, with some of the things that I share openly there. Which, by the way, that stuff's in the description. Click the link; it has to connect to all my socials. But I personally am the worst fucker to mess with. Like,
but I don't want to brag, but I used to be a bodyguard back in my 20s. It doesn't matter how big and badder you are. If there's 4 guys against you, doesn't matter if you're Bruce Lee, you're going to be taken down by 4 guys or a guy with a gun. You're done.
So that's the thing, man. Like, I don't mean it, again, this isn't a macho conversation or anything like that. I'd welcome 4 guys to have some fun with me. It will be a good time. And true story for my friends that are here in Colombia listening to this, they know about this story. It's one of the reasons I left my last apartment building in Sabaneta. Was I sent 3 guys to the hospital all within under a minute. So, yeah, I'm not saying this is a brogacious thing. There's nothing about that. My point in saying that is that you don't know. I tell people I don't fight for this reason. Like, you can't look at somebody and then judge what their physical capacity is. And so, I tell clients all the time, listen, don't do this. Don't have them take you someplace. Don't bring them back to your place. It's on average in Medellín, $30 for a decent Airbnb. Rent an Airbnb that's separate from all of your stuff if you're going to do this. Like, there are so many other options to then,
even here, that if I go to, let's just say, like a discotheque, place like that, and I hook up with a chick, I don't bring her home. I don't know this girl. I don't know anything about her.
Hell no.
I take her to a love motel.
So much easier.
The love motel, they lock you inside. There's no leaving. You have to pay to get in
and pay to get out.
You have to leave at the same time. I had one time where I went to a love hotel and I had to go down and get some condoms. I forgot condoms. So I had to leave and go get some condoms. And when I was going out the front door, like, they have like doors that are electronic. You can't just leave. Yeah. And they had to call to the room to make sure the girl was okay. Like,
there's so many safe options, right? It's going back to the whole pride thing. Yeah, I agree.
Those hotels are anonymous.
Where's your? So yeah, but just shout out to anyone that cares or wants to know. So I go to Ibiza if I need to use a hotel for myself, for clients. I typically am not bringing any girls home. I have a few times. Different for me. I have a service dog, so I don't necessarily worry too much about those kind of things, depending on who the girls are coming home to my place. But I use Ibiza a lot. I always recommend clients to use Ibiza a lot. I think that, again, there's so many other safe options than, inviting a stranger into your home. And I don't give a shit if you're in Colombia, the US, or anywhere else. Like, I think people don't understand the security of space, and bringing people into your home is a big deal. So I'm sorry, we got off topic here. 3 days.
Going back to the reason why I didn't have her come to my house was because I don't know who she is yet. We've talked. I've verified a lot of information. My friends know that information just in case something happens to me. But I go to a place that I go all the time. The Staff knows me, so I'm not going to get scoped.
So are you 3 days with her in this place, or are you 3 days at your place?
At my apartment? I felt her out.
Okay.
I felt good. We were getting along real well. So I decided to bring her back to my apartment. That was a risk I took, but it's a calculated risk.
All right. So when do you find out she's a webcam model? Because at this point in time, you still don't know, right?
So that was a Thursday. So, she went home. She went home on Friday, got some clothes. She was kind of going back and forth. I'm paying for the Uber. It's no big deal. And so, we're sitting there, and she's like, I really got to go to work on Sunday. I was like, well, where do you work? Because she told me, talking, that she works at her family's store.
Okay.
She's like, well, I have to on it. She's like, I really like you. I have to be honest with you. I'm a webcam model.
Oh, at least you didn't hit you with that. I work at a call center.
Her English. I know people in call centers here, so I would have asked and found out.
Oh, okay, yeah, because that's just so for those that are like, what? Huh? So, I mean, have you come across that? Like most of the webcam girls I meet will say they work at call centers, like the universal fucking cover up, and I'm always just like, hey, there's not that much customer service here in Colombia that you're working at a call center. So, but okay.
I was waiting for her to tell me because the pictures she sent me, a few of them were very suspect.
Suspect as in sultry, or suspect as in professional, or suspect
is they were too professional. Just women here can't afford professional photos with professional makeup. There's something up there, and they will give themselves away because they think it's a really good picture and they don't think you're smart enough to figure it out.
Yeah, it's like, come on.
So I'm like, this doesn't look good. I was like, well, I'll see what she says.
Okay, so she tells you, what's your response? And initially, I'm sure you're kind of like hitting the throat, like, what?
Yeah, like a hit in the throat. I thought I was dating met a really good girl. You never know what the background on them, but you'll never know the background on them because you're not from here, so you can't ask the right people to find out background.
Yeah.
So, it was a hit in the throat. First thing I'm like, okay, so are you by yourself? Are you with a man?
Hold on. Guys, stop. I want you to pause the podcast right now, and I want you to write that down. Write that down. If you find out you're dating a webcam model, the first fucking question you need to ask them is, are you webcamming alone, in a group, with other men, with other women, with one, with multiples? Because letting that shit be fucking vaguely expressed will get you in a situation where you're dating a grandmother with 3 kids that's got pictures of her face all over the fucking internet with some dude's cum that you just had dinner with on her face. So let's real story. I lived that. So I'm literally sitting in the apartment right now that I was supposed to be in with that woman and her kids. But I digress. So you ask her, what is go through it. Take us through the combo.
Yeah, so she just told me what she does. She's, just a common webcam stuff, dildos, stuff like that. Just common, normal stuff. It wasn't nothing crazy. But, I got photos of her. So that's why I was up late last night. That's why I texted you, because I was doing my investigation on her to see where's her webcam at. Is she telling me the truth about the webcam? So I was thinking.
So how recent is this? Is this a new thing?
So I've been talking to her for 2 weeks, and this was last Thursday. She came over, so she.
Okay. Oh fuck! This is great. This is super fresh. We're gonna take a break right here, guys. This is gonna be the end of part 1 because we're just now getting into it, and I also am trying to do my best not to have 3 million episodes that are 2 hours long. So end of part 1. If you guys want to hear the rest of the story, stop here and check out part 2, which will be episode 14 of the podcast. Okay. We can keep going. I'll just cut this. We'll roll. So continuing, if you have not listened to episode 1, part 1 of this, listen to part 1. Jesse is talking about his experience with the webcam model. It's been pretty informative so far, but we're about to dive into the juice. So let's do it. So, all right. So you now figured out she's a webcam model. You spent now 3 days with her. This is recent, fresh off the block. And you're devastated. And now you're doing research to dive down the rabbit hole of the reality that this is this.
I will tell you this. If you did not meet her online and you guys clicked and you know what she's up to all the time, If you're just here and she tells you you're a webcam model and you don't have an open mind, walk away. Because once you go down that rabbit hole, it's a deep rabbit hole that you'll find. Because they lie about everything. Because she told
what did you find? Let's go. So you had mentioned a few things that you said you were going to clear up, like the time of the month and those kind of. So like,
I'll get to it away. But like, she told me she's been doing this for 7 months. When I do a facial recognition search online, she's been in this for a good 2 years plus.
My heart hurts for you, bro.
What can you do? This is, I mean, come on. This is the kind of women we like. So if we wouldn't be here if I just walked away.
Write this down. Write this down, guys. This is episode 14. Neo is speechless. I genuinely hurt for you, man, and I say that with deep empathy and passion. But
I have an open mind. If she had done boy girl or orgies online, I would have walked. But it's only been solo work, and as far as I go, that's okay with me.
All right, brother. Let's go into this. So, like, we definitely have to go through the rest of the story, but you know, like I've said, like I've discussed, it's out there. This is recorded history, right? I've dated prostitutes, strippers, webcam models, more than one webcam model. I've had open relationships, polyamorous relationships, just completely open relationships. And in all of those things, let me just express this. I don't give a shit how open your mind is. My mind is extremely open. The one thing I will no longer ever accept in my life is someone that's in my life lying to me. I don't give a shit how small the detail. I can't do it. You might as well scopamine me and kill me. Like, I would just prefer that. I'm not even joking. I can't, because listen, I'm on this fucking podcast sharing my life with the world. Openly, honestly, it's uncomfortable at times, but I'm doing it. So if I welcome you into my home, into my life, into my world, and you lie to me about whatever it is, go fuck yourself. I can't deal. Like, I can't do it. And I say that, but I mean, this is an evolution of the pain that has gotten me to this point where I'm just like, at the very least, it costs nothing.
I look at it this way, okay? These girls have lied their whole lives. They don't even know what the truth is at this point. To her, she's probably been in this for 7 months. Before that, I don't have any webcams till at least a year ago. So she's been in it now for 7 months. So that's her truth right now. Like, if you decide to date one of these girls, you are never going to get the full truth out of her. You might as well just walk. You're never going to get the full truth.
It's a value thing, man. Like,
they don't even know what the full truth is.
But that's the thing, is like, that's why I don't need an interpretation of your subjective opinion. I need 100% of your objective life right now as we live. And like, for you to tell me, I don't know, but I've been doing this for longer than I want to, that's an honest answer. I'm cool with that. That doesn't give me any detail, right? But it tells me where you're at.
I know, but it also comes down to a trust thing. She does like me, but she doesn't trust me yet. So she doesn't want to scare me away by telling me the full truth.
You, sir, are doing what all of us that make excuses do.
I know.
Let me just say this. I don't care what the excuse is. I have a nutrition business. I have a marketing agency. I have a dog trade. I have so many different things. And the reality is, it doesn't matter what the discipline is.
Just trying to explain.
You're justifying the reason why you're accepting less than what you deserve. That's what you're doing.
I know.
I mean, like,
but listen, come on. How old are you, Neil?
I'll be 42 in June.
So I'm gonna be 48. You realize that genuine connections are pretty rare in life.
Listen to you, bro. Listen to what you're saying. This is from me. I'm telling you this out of 100% love for you as a human and an individual.
That's
bullshit. What you're saying is bullshit.
That's hard to find.
If you Oh man, let's get into it. I fucking love this shit. So look, bro, the woman that I can tell you right now is my person in this world. I do not think there's another one. I don't think that I have met a soulmate more of a soulmate than I have ever met in this woman.
I don't believe
It is.
there's multiple.
That's
For you. It's not. There's no song.
this woman was 100% my person. I mean, like, never in my life. I have some very, very strong connections, very, very high energy exchanges with people right now in my life that I'm very close to, that I'm in love with. But this particular woman, 100% of what we had, I would 100% say is the person that was put on this earth for me. However, put on this earth for me for what? It was to learn how that felt, what experience, what it came from it, the pain, the process, and all of it. And this is what I can tell you. There is no way to have a genuine connection, no matter how it feels subjectively, when there is lies involved.
I agree with you. It's
So,
how much are you willing to put up with? Knowing at this point, I can always walk away.
yes, now that is the question. That's the truth. But this is the reality. You're accepting less than you deserve because of your own perceived value. And that's the thing that for me, I'm like, yo, this whole like peace over everything. This is my process and understanding and desire to learn enough about myself that I no longer accept less than my value. Because I don't give a shit if, like, again, if I'm on here saying I've dated prostitutes, like, I'm sharing my life and things that I'm not proud of, and openly, and I don't give a shit. Look at me, judge me, cool. But the reality is I'm sharing it. So if you come into my life and you want to lie to me on something stupid, man, kick rocks. I dated a chick here, one of the first girls I dated here. She came over. It was a great time. This has been after months of conversation. She came to my apartment. We smoked. I saved the half of the blunt and put it in a dupe tube, and she left. Later on, I'm looking for the dupe tube, and she took it. She didn't think it was a big deal. When I asked her about it, she was like, oh, no, I don't have it. Then I was like, oh, you don't have it? I was like, that particular dupe tube was a special one for me. That's why it was red. That was given to me by a friend that passed away. Hold on, let me look for it. She fucking magically had it. Never saw the bitch again. Like, you just...
But it's living in Medellín, it skews reality. Because if you want a woman that's going to be 100% honest, get all these things, you're never going to find that in Medellín. You might as well go to another city. It's not going to happen. It's really, they're always about something.
The triangle that is developing for me right now. My close friends are going to listen to this episode and be like, "Oh, we know about this triangle." It's been developing for I said 2 years, but the reality is the triangle's been developing for 2 years. But the relationship I have with the woman I'm in love with, she knows this. She's a best friend to me, has been 4 years. She was one of the first people I connected with in one of my first open relationships. And I mean, we've been best friends this entire time, and she's right under my nose, and we never took it that direction. But that said, I agree with you 100%, but that doesn't mean that we should accept less because of where our geographical location is. You know, it's the reason why this girl now, when I send her a text and she responds 2 hours later, I'm like, okay, well, you'll just get replaced. You know, I have girls that send me messages on an everyday basis that want to spend time. And for me, I've come to the point of realization. I'm just like, if you want to prove to me you are what you are, cool. I just had a girl here yesterday. She's amazing. She's amazing. Part of the triangle. And, you know, we literally talked right before this episode. And I was like, you know, she told me last night she loved me. And I was like, wow, like, cool. It's a whole nother level. And I wrote her this long text explaining, you know, how I felt about the whole situation. And I was just like, yo, the reality is the only thing I'm focused on is our friendship. If our friendship continues to go this direction and evolves, cool. I'm open for whatever that may be, but I'm not focused on anything else. And in the meantime, you know, the sexual chemistry, the tension, or whatever you want to call it, is cool. Sometimes we'll act on it, sometimes we won't. But, you know, that's just the reality is that's not my focus point. And, you know, in taking kind of that position in the last 6-7 months, it's been amazing. But at the same time, bro, it's still a value thing. Like, I have to tell myself on this on a regular basis. Like, even,
I mean, if you dig into anybody deep enough, you're gonna find stuff out. I don't think she suspected the stuff is still online, and I would be able to dig the way I dig. Many people can't do it.
Brother, you're giving excuses.
I know.
This webcam model that I dated, the grandma.
I haven't since then. And I did the digging last night when she left. I haven't had. These are kind of conversations I like to have in person.
Yeah. Man.
And I haven't had a chance to talk to her in person.
All right, so let me share my experience with this from because I haven't this is not out on the internet. My friends that know me know this situation and circumstance. I'm going to share it with you guys for the first time now. So Jesse, here's the deal, bro. I told you I met like 7 women from the first webcam model, the one that you watched the video of. This particular woman, she hit me up on social media. I have a bunch of women here in Colombia that hit me up on social media. Sometimes I don't post literally just because I don't want the messages that come in after. But FYI, if you're a Moreno that speaks Spanish here in Medellín from the US or from outside of the country, you're a hot commodity. So I get a lot of messages. So I had this one girl started following me. And I was like, okay, cool. She's like reacting to my stories. Every time she reacted to my story, it was about food. No big deal. I cook a lot, share a lot of my food, share what I'm eating. She'd react. And this goes on for months. Eventually, we have dinner. I invite her out for a date. And her response to going out on this date was, no, I want you to cook for me. She's like, if I'm going to eat food with you, you need to cook for me because that's what I want, blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay. So again, I've never met this girl. We've been talking for months, just in DMs on social media. I'm not saying the platform to kind of be protective of who this person is, but long story short, she comes over. We had dinner. She stayed till like 3:30 in the morning, just talking. Give her a kiss on the forehead, put her in the fucking taxi that she paid for, and we went on life. This turned into a great relationship, or at least I thought it was a great relationship. And I mean, like, great. About a month into it, she posts something on her social media. See, I have to catch myself or start giving details that I don't need to give. And it's tagged my ex. It's a tag to my ex on this post. And I'm looking and I'm like, hey, how do you know this person? Are you friends with this person? And they're like, yeah, I used to work with them. I was like, you used to work with them? What do you mean you used to work with them? And, her response is, well, I used to work with her, webcamming. And I was like, well, I know what she does. So you're webcam model then. And at the time when I met her on, social media, I knew she had an OnlyFans page, which I feel like fucking 90% of women in the world right now have an OnlyFans page. And 98% of those women aren't making enough money to sustain their life with it. So for any of you that are listening to this, thinking about starting an OnlyFans, just don't. I thought I just lost audio for a second. Went quiet. So I digress. Come to find out, the first go round was she sits and tells me, she's like, yeah, I'm not a webcam model now. It was in my past, and I worked with her in the studio. We worked together, but we didn't work together. She wasn't having sex with her. My ex liked girls. And so I was like, did you work with her? Like, what's up? She's like, no. I worked this shift. She worked that shift, and we shared the same room. I was like, okay, cool. Well, we digress now. So we're in this relationship. I moved. This is the first time I moved to Beja, where I am now, so that I could be closer to her. Just to, she had 3 kids. It was a little bit more difficult for her to come to where I was at in Morales, and I wanted to be able to spend more time to where she was. But
I don't want to cut in, Neil, but that's one of my no's. If they have kids, I will not date.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm all for that now.
I am not taking care of anybody else's kids. I've already been I ain't doing it again. I haven't been there, but I don't mind kids. I love kids. Even in that relationship, if I'm being honest, her son used to care for my dog like no one ever has. I'm sure Logan probably misses this guy. I hate to do it to your podcast, but I could tell you something offline as to why I don't do that.
You could do podcast is raw and real. You can say whatever you want to say.
So, okay, I'll do it. So I got married probably good 10 years ago to a woman that had 3 kids.
Okay.
Married, everything was good. Everything was going good. And then got attached to the kids more so than the wife. Yep. And one day she just split.
Yeah, man. You won't do it to the podcast. That's just life. I've been divorced twice, bro. What are you talking about?
The hard thing about it is it wasn't really losing the wife.
It's the kids.
Never seeing those kids ever again.
Yeah, so the video that I posted, the webcam model video, you saw the picture of her with her son, and she was pissed. The fuck you gonna post my son, bro? I was like, first off, these were my life experiences that I'm sharing with the world. I didn't zoom in on who your son is. Nobody knows who your son is. Nobody knows who you are. So like chill the fuck out. But at the end of the day, like this is something you took from me. Like this was our family that we had formed. I'm sharing experiences of our family. Like I paid for this day. Like I don't give a fuck if you're you're upset with that shared. I'm like, I don't like it is what it is. But I say all that to say the second scenario with her and the 3 kids, I didn't meet the oldest child she had because she was outside of the country traveling involved in sex work because, like mother, like daughter. But, we had this relationship and I moved to Bejo. When I moved to Bejo to be closer, literally the first night I'm in Bejo, she's like, hey, my best friends want to go to dinner. And my best friend's here. I really wanted you to meet them. She's told me about them before. She's had coffee with them a few times since we had been dating. And I was like, I'm tired. I'm tired. Like I just moved all the shit to here and the apartment switch. But like if this is an opportunity they have, let's go to dinner. So we go to Provenza. We go to Gato in Provenza and eat. And it's a pretty good time. They're nice. I mean, I invited them into my apartment, smoked a little, had a beer or two, and we went to dinner, etc. It's all good. We fast forward now. Oh, no, excuse me. Hold on. Before we fast forward, when she introduces me to them, she's like, hey, this is so-and-so and so-and-so. Remember I told you I work with them in the studio. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. I remember you saying you work with them in the studio. So you work with them in the studio. Okay. Now, in my mind, when she says this, she worked with them in the studio the same way she worked with my ex. Like, how the agencies are here. Like, these studios have hundreds of girls sometimes, just depending on how big the studio and agency is. So I'm like, cool. I didn't think anything else of it, bro. It's a husband. Right. It's a husband-wife. I'm like, okay, cool.
Thought was, did you guys work together or did you guys work the same room?
I didn't ask these questions.
You see why I asked those questions to begin with?
I mean,
if I'm going to stay or if I'm going to go, because there's a certain level that I'm okay with.
When she told me initially that she was a webcam model, and this is where things get fucked up, and this is where I'm talking about lies, right? So when I initially asked her about her webcam modeling, she sent me links after links after links after links after links. I was like, okay, which took my desire to do my investigative research down a little bit, right? So I was like, okay, I ran some facial search rec, which, guys, by the way, guys, any woman that you're dating here in Colombia, they're so easy. You can go to camgirlfinder.net. I'm pretty sure it's webcam girl finder, whatever. Put that in. You could add the picture of their face, and it will give you not one, but all of the different results of things that look like or similar to. And then you could expand the background to get a better picture of if it's the person. So that's my free advice to you.
Advice I'll give somebody that is in this situation or thinks they're in this situation: do not use Google. Do not use Google AI. They will not find those pictures. You have to go to a cam girl search and go off of key things, tattoos, anything that's distinguishable, because they can change their faces too.
Yeah, 100%. So
the makeup can change their face. You got to go off of key details.
Yeah, and here's the other great thing, right? If they have one name and you find that one name and you're like, oh, okay, I found it. They only have 5 videos. You better look and see if they have any other names, because there's an absolute ton of girls that have multiple names. Yeah, constantly. So all of that said, though, I have done. Well, there's a million different reasons. Some of them are because of the studio. Some of them because they want to run congruent webcammings where they're running actually 2 streams at the same time to try to attract more and their different name. There's a million different reasons to try to manipulate the system, but all of it I don't give a shit about. My biggest thing is you tell me everything, because I don't want anyone else on the internet knowing something about the girl I'm fucking that I don't know. That's just my reality. That's really my position on every open relationship and every relationship I've had. My line of thought is, if we are the closest proximity to each other, I'm fucking you, then there is nobody that knows things about you that I don't know. Right? Because if you ask me a question and you share my bed, I'm gonna answer the question, because why wouldn't I, right? So digress. I don't want to take all of your afternoon on this, but the reality is this girl, she sends me all these links. I check out the links, I look at the stuff, and she's like, yeah, it was mostly just like foot fetish things and that's it, nothing else. And I was like, you're already lying to me because there's these profiles and you're here with other girls, with multiple girls. What's up with that? You like girls? No. I don't like girls. It's not that. It was never anything. She always, her terminology was always, it was very professional. It was very professional. What the fuck is professional about webcam modeling? The lights?
Yeah.
The camera? Like, give me a break. So
like, the girls here consider that modeling.
yeah, well, let me just explain to you girls. It's not modeling. But I digress. I'm like, okay, no problem. Tell me about the women. And she's like, no, I don't like girls. It was a very professional thing. It was just like certain events the studio I was working with wanted to do this because it attracted attention. And I was like, okay. And I'm feeling this girl, you know, she's not webcamming now currently when I'm dating her. So I'm kind of just accepting this stuff and kind of just letting it roll. Because now I'm already invested. I'm already like, I like you a lot. So, okay. And I don't dig any deeper. I'm just kind of like, okay, this is where it's at. But then we digress. I move in with her. So we're now living together, and we're living together for all of 24 hours. 24 hours before I get some guy on social media hitting me up saying, hey, who are you? I'm like, who the fuck are you? I'm Neo. You can see it all over my social media. It's like, don't ask me who I am. And the guy's like, oh, well, the reason I'm asking, he's actually a really cool guy. We still talk. But he's like, I'm asking you because, you know, this person's my girlfriend. And I was like, she's your girlfriend? I was like, man, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that she's your girlfriend. I've been fucking your girlfriend every night. Like, like, and come to find out the guy has never left the U.S. He's been dating this girl and sending her money for, you know, years now. And I'm just like, yeah, sorry about that. So whatever, we have a conversation. I kind of clear that stuff up. But as we end the conversation, he tells me to be careful and he throws this guy's name out. And I was like, well, I know that guy, but why are you telling me to be careful with him? I was like, I had dinner with him and his wife. Like, it was all good. He's like, you had dinner with them? And I was like, yeah. Like, he's like, dude, be really careful with this dude. And so now I'm like, anyone tells me I need to be careful with somebody, I really need to know context. And he's like, well, do you know they worked? She worked with them. And I was like, yeah, they worked at the same studio for however long when she first got here and blah, blah, blah. And he was like, no. I mean, I guess they worked at the same studio, but I didn't think they were in a studio. I was like, what do you mean? He was like, no, she worked with them. With them who? He's like, I'm going to send you a picture. He sends me a picture, and it's her and this other woman sucking this dude's dick. It's like a still shot. And I was like, so the first thing I'm like, how in the fuck do you have me sit across the table from this couple that fucked you and I don't know about it? And I break bread with these people and you don't tell me. So we had the conversation, you know, I'm very nice about it. I get super high and she comes in the apartment and I was like, hey, I love you, but we need to talk. And so I said hello to her daughter, son, we go outside to talk, and this turns into a huge thing. And I'm going through all these things and I'm like, listen, you got homeboy's jizz on your face. Like, don't sit here and tell me that you haven't been dishonest with me. I haven't lied to you about anything. I told you I work with them. I said, get the fuck out of here. You told me you worked with them. Yeah, you told me you work with them the same way you worked with my ex. And I'm imagining you in the same studio. And you didn't tell me you worked together. So this turns into a thing. After that, it was just like lie after lie after lie after lie after lie that had been uncovered. But this is my point to you, bro. Like, you should never get to a point where you feel like you can trust her. And it doesn't matter that for her own reality is fucked. That doesn't mean that you need to allow her fucked up warped sense of reality to fuck up your actual reality. And there's no way that she can do anything other than that because she's already lied to you now multiple times. And for someone as early in this whole process, no, you're right. You're not going to find out everything. So if you're not going to find out everything and you know she's not going to tell you everything, you're never going to know everything about this person. So why would you want to continue down that path unless you just want to have fun?
It is fun. We'll see where it goes. You know, at any point, I've already been in this situation, so I know how to pull myself out if I have to.
But do you want to go through the trauma of pulling yourself out?
I wouldn't even consider it trauma at this point. I've already done a lot of similar things that you've done that, you know, you can walk away on a dime, you know?
Yeah, but that's the thing though, right? Like you walk away on a dime, but then there's really no investment there. You know, so one of the things about this whole, like the triangle that I'm building right now is that it's amazing. Like it's amazing from the sense of it's a different depth of value in a relationship that I've never had, and really like connecting with people for the people. And so, like, you know that this can't be the thing. Like you said, the chemistry is important, this and that, but like your chemistry is not genuine. It may be genuine from a superficial, I'd really like to, magically make this a dream. But, the difference between dreams had and dreams realized is the real part. Because if you don't connect with reality, you're never going to actually get past the obstacles and challenges that exist. And for me, you can't get there if you're fucking lying to the person. Like you can't. And I know you said you still had to have this conversation with her in person. But with all of that said, man, the other thing I'd say is I told you a little bit about this offline. I met a guy and he was going through a similar situation with a model, and he was sending her money and he's similar shit, man. And so I guess my point to you is like, before you sit here and talk about you want to have an open conversation with her about blah blah blah, my question to you is what do you want? Like, aside from whatever she says, aside from whatever she spins, aside from any of that, if you can confirm that she's still like a solo performer, and you know that if you get into a serious relationship with her and you ever share her with the world, anybody can take a facial recognition picture of this girl and watch her play with herself.
And that's the thing, is if you're in a situation if there's any point in your mind that if somebody can take a facial recognition picture of her and look her up and you're not okay with it being open, then you should walk away.
So you're saying that you're okay with that?
I don't have a problem with that if somebody were to find out. I'm not in a situation in my life where an employer or someone like that could get me in trouble or it would ruin my life. If you were in that situation, I would say walk away.
No, fuck that. I don't give a shit about that. I mean, I haven't.
But some people do have jobs and people do, I know when all this started coming along and, we found a few girls at work that were doing the OnlyFans stuff and they got fired.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess for me, it's just I've been working on my own for so many years now that I don't give a shit.
It could damage you like that. You should walk away then. For me,
but
no problem.
Aside from that, you're okay with the guy at the bar next to you having watched your girl play with herself?
I thought about it, and yeah, I'll be okay with that.
Really? So for me, yeah.
If you're not okay with that, then you don't need to be in Medellín, because I would say 80% of the girls, somebody has fiddled with her besides you and paid for it.
No. But that's the difference, right? I don't care about. So I dated the first prostitute I dated here. I didn't know she was a prostitute. I met her as she was waiting for a car outside of my apartment building. This is in Bogota. I didn't find out she was a prostitute until weeks later, but I didn't care because I was like, you know how much sex I've had? Like, I don't care that you're having sex with other people. Like, I'm cool with that as long as you're okay with me having sex with other people. And so like, but sex with other people, when someone having been with her, that's the reality of life. Unless you're with a virgin, I've been there and I've done that. Not my recommendation. So like, in my personal opinion, I don't care about that. I don't care about you're even a sex worker or a stripper. What I do care about is that my best friend can watch my future wife playing with herself online. And that's why now, like, my position on it now is I will never fucking date another webcam model. Never.
If it were to come down to that, and let's just say we were getting ready for marriage, you can pay, it's not cheap. You can pay for most of that stuff to come offline to work. It's going to be really hard to find it. Really, really hard.
Again, though, this is my point.
But do I care? No. And it would probably, the likelihood of most of these webcam models, you meeting somebody who saw her online because they have the IP block in Colombia, even though you can get around it.
VPN. I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, listen.
Get around with it. Most Colombians don't even they're not smart enough to use a VPN.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about Colombians. I don't give a shit about the Colombians here. I care about, my businesses I have in other countries and the reflection and the representation of this woman on my arm. Anyone could take a picture of and check.
I keep my business and I keep my personal life separate. My clients would never meet. my wife.
I've got a podcast where I talk about fucking the women that I've had sex with. Like, I don't care about that. It's not even those
But I
things.
don't
It's more
post
of a,
like my social media. I don't post any personal pictures. I don't post girlfriends. I don't post anything on those type of things. That's my personal life.
but just listening to what you're saying right now, man, like this is
My reality, and that's your reality, though.
oh no, 100%. I'm trying to understand the positioning that you take mentally on like
I've had to change. Before coming to Colombia, I would be totally in your boat. If I found out she was a webcam model, she's done. I cannot date that person. But living here, you change your perception, because finding somebody that has not done some type of sexual work here is trying to find a unicorn.
But that's exactly what I'm saying. That's the thing that I'm like, I'm listening to you and I'm like tormented. So like, man, when I dated the webcam model, the first one, I knew she was a webcam model. I had no desire or plan that I was going to fall in love with her. I just really wanted to genuinely learn who she was. And when we had this dinner, she shared her heart in such an open manner that I fell in love with how freely she shared who she was, which was cool. And I was accepting of the fact that, you know, the IP block and most of her fans, though, from here are in the US. But at the same time, I was just like, I don't care. I took your position. I was like, I love her for who she is. And if this comes out, I'm not going to judge her for it, because I have my own past. And if everything from what I did was shown in the forefront, you know, I'd be in the same boat. But that said, that was in that position with the woman that stole my heart that I fell in love with. Me right now, to date a webcam model and understand that, even the second go around, because right, like I have pictures with her I shared on my socials and stuff. Like for me, I was like, okay, same thing, same position. But for me now, in this growth pattern of me understanding my value, me guarding my peace, the fact that it's an option, every woman listening right now, I would rather you hit me up and be like, yes, I'm a prostitute that works in Yeres, but I've never been on a webcam. And I would be more open to having that conversation, because I don't care how many people they've had sex with. And so like you talking about the unicorn, which is fine, but me saying that I'll date a sex worker, but I won't date a webcam model, is like even still, like I'll be in an open relationship where you can have sex with other people. I'm okay with that, with the guidelines and the respect of it being limited, it not being something that's shown on the internet, and not being something that you can't get rid of. And like you said and pointed out, you know, there are sites like Reekerbait. You can pull everything down from every reposted site, but you're not going to pull it down from there. You're not going to pull it down from webcam recorders. Like there's too many places, right? So like for me, yeah, you got to be kind of a weirdo to want to look into my girlfriend so heavily and then say, well, I want to find all her videos.
And I know I'm justifying things, but you say there's 85,000 webcam models in Colombia. Probably about 84,000 of those probably have 15 to 20 followers. They're making probably 2 to 5 million a month. Not a lot of money in general terms. So maybe 500 to 1,000 guys have seen her in the world. But her being found, you're 30. I mean, come on. When your friends bring a girl over, do you take a picture to go check her out to see if she's online?
Yes.
You're one of the rare ones. Most people don't do that. Give it 50, and we're going to be there.
Yeah, no. Well, first off, you're not bringing any random person over to my house, because I don't want to have to be the one responsible for whatever bad thing happens. One. Two, so I'm very... Yeah, the apartment I live in also is kind of different. We have a co-working space. We've got other areas. So even if someone were to come to my place, they don't actually have to come into my apartment. But yes, even like my buddies, if they're like, yo, I'm out with this girl, and they send me a picture, I will undoubtedly circle their face and put them in to see if I can't find them and be like, hey, heads up, this is who you're with right now. I just told my buddy, he'll be on the podcast, but I just told him the other day, I said, hey, bro, listen, you were just out with so-and-so. I said, did you ask her if she knew me? Because I knew who she was. And I'm like, and that's okay if you're okay with that, because even if she's your second to me, like I was her whatever number, you know what I mean? So it's okay. But I just want you to be aware. And, you know, with the time I've been here in Medellín, like, you know, him and I have similar tastes. So I was like, yo, if you hit up a girl, you should just be like, hey, do you know Neo? It could be and it could be a random conversation. I have enough followers on my socials that you could just be like, have you seen this guy's profile? And, you know, they're like, oh my God, yeah, or no. if it matters. But my point in saying all of that is like, I can't personally knowing who I am and knowing that, yeah, it's a unicorn, but I mean, I still travel the world, bro. I don't need to find a Colombian woman. But if I do, I'm okay if she's in the sex work industry, but I'm not okay if she's a webcam. Not now, not previously. If I can read your face and find you, can't do it.
And I'm totally opposite of you. I don't mind dating a webcam model, but I won't date a prostitute.
Why? Ooh, we're gonna get to it.
So I wouldn't date a prostitute because I've dated prostitutes in the past, and they're usually more shady than webcam models.
Usually more shady, you said?
Yeah.
Doesn't it depend on what level prostitute? Because like there are girls that work in Yaris, and then there's girls that are like exclusively found in certain places from their own channels and things that they built, with various outlets like Seeking, for example, or other those similar.
There's stuff like that. Plus, you have all Miloerotica, all that kind of stuff too. Plus,
yeah,
you got your casas here. They don't post those girls' pictures, so it's really hard to figure those girls out.
So for me, I dated one girl that talked about this in some of my things. She was amazing, bro. Like she's an amazing girl. And I didn't take her seriously when I was dating her because she was a prostitute, but she was genuinely in love with me, genuinely wanted to make a life with me. And I was still very much in love with my girlfriend who I was still dating. So it wasn't a thing, but I would totally rather date a prostitute that wasn't shady. I mean, because the reality is you can find a shady anything. You could find a fucking shady housekeeper, a shady lawyer, a shady banker, a shady prostitute. So I'm not going to date shady anything, webcam models included. But at the same time, I'm looking at webcam models and thinking to myself, okay, everybody can see you. I would rather you be a prostitute. Maybe you've had sex with 1,000 guys. Okay. That's unfortunate. I feel like that's a lot of energy exchanging. But you can turn that leaf over and not revisit any, and it's a lot easier for me to say we'd never run into these 1,000 men than it is for me to say these out of 1,000 men, none of them have seen you online. That's the thing, right? Like if it were 1,000 men lineup and I could say, what's the likelihood that we run into in person one of the 1,000 men that you've had sex with as they've come through their sexual adventures here? Or what's the likelihood of 1,000 men outside of this country having seen your webcam stream?
And I think it's, if the girl wasn't as hot as she is, I would probably.
Listen, brother, I'm going to tell you what you said when we started this whole thing. That guy died from his dick. He was left by his dick.
But I control the situations at all times. I will never let myself get dragged into something that I don't know, or I will have friends with me. I one time I was dating this girl up in Bogota. We've been dating for a good 6 months. And so she was Venezuelan, dating 6 months.
Man. Venezuelans.
Hot and heavy for a good 6 months every weekend. She's working during the week, verify she's at a store, and everything checks out. And so about 6 months into it, she's like, I want you to come meet my mom.
Yeah, you can meet your mom at a restaurant. I'll pay for it.
And that's what I told her. I was like, well, I'll send you guys an Uber. She's like, no, I want you to come. She wants you to come to the house.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
And I was like, okay, I'll go to the house, but I'm bringing my 2 cop buddies with me. And she's like, no, we don't want cops at the house. And that tells you that's a good test of like, okay, I'll bring a cop buddy of mine. And she was like, no. So that was it for that, because I was getting set up for something.
Yeah, I think that's one of the.
I lost you. Can't hear you. You got no audio. Still no audio. You're completely mute. If you can hear me. Sounds like your audio went out. There, just heard it. No. I just heard like a crack that your audio came through, and that was it. Ah, there it was again. Nothing. Not. You're crackling. Is your audio Bluetooth? Is it plugged in? I can't hear you though. You got to use head signals, yes or no. No.
You can probably hear me now.
There you go.
Yeah, but this is not the audio I want to come through because this audio has changed. This is now coming through my computer instead of through the camera. So give me 1 second. I'm going to try to switch back to the camera, and if not, it is what it is. I don't know why that happened. It's really weird. Okay, well, we'll continue from here, guys. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Recording is still good. You can still hear me now, right?
Yes, sir.
That's odd. I don't know why that happens. I think maybe the audio and the camera like stops after a certain period of time. I've had it happen one other time. And, you know, streaming through StreamYard to record these things is just whatever. There's so many technical details. That said, though, for me, man, I've listened to you. I have understood your positioning on the thing, and I hope that I'm always down to have fun. Like, life is short. I think you should absolutely
just having fun in life at this point. She's a fun girl to hang out with. She's hot as hell. You know.
That's the whole point. Yeah.
Yeah, trust me, I am so there with you. But that said, you know, I feel like.
Do I honestly see a future with her in it and getting married? No. Just gonna see where it goes. Wherever it ends, it ends.
Okay, so for everyone, what he just said right now is, what do you mean we're not dating that for anything serious? I'm just gonna have some fun and keep yourself secured. Cool. That always sounds like a good look. That for me is the thing. I really, you know, one of the benefits of myself, and I started saying this before the audio issues, but you know, I do have a background that I have. I don't discuss it on my podcast, as honest and open as I am about a lot of things because of what that background is. So smart people will gather what that is, and people that don't know won't know. But when you learn those things about me, you taking the risk of trying to set somebody up or set me up with other people is just one of those things that is very quickly avoided. And then if you ever meet my dog, like, you know, if I ever say, come meet my dog, oh my God. Once you meet Logan, you have no desire to want to cause harm to me because he'll eat you. I mean that. So, you know, I don't know. You know, it's one of those things where I'm with you, bro. Like I don't consider myself ever getting into another serious relationship with a Colombian woman. Serious in terms of like dating for months, yes, but like marriage, no, I don't see that happening. With the triangle that I'm building, absolutely. But again, this has been like 4 years and 2 years in the process. And that is, these people for me will forever be in my life. I love them deeply. We are extremely good friends. And this is just a situation that's completely different than me dating anyone else. But if it's not these two, it won't be anyone. I can pretty much guarantee you that. So, because I'm not even open to the idea of entertaining it. Because like, as you just pointed out, when we first kicked this off, you'll always be able to find something and you'll never get all of it. And I am fully aware of that. Like, fully aware. So
I sent you some pictures one time because I don't want to be spread, so you can see what I'm looking at here. Your WhatsApp.
All right, I'm looking. See, this guy's live stuff is great. So look at my phone.
Sorry.
No, you're good. I keep my stuff on Do Not Disturb so it doesn't interrupt my recordings. That and the fact that I never want to have things that are taking my time. All right. I do see what you're saying in terms of like the European look.
She doesn't. If you were to see her in Europe, you would think she's European. She doesn't look Paisa at all.
No, she doesn't. And you said she's bilingual, right?
Yeah, she speaks English. I speak Spanish too, but she speaks English and Spanish.
Where did she learn her English from?
A few years ago, she went to school to learn English. I would probably assume for webcam work.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they have. So my ex used to use this program that would automatically translate everything as people were saying it, like live.
Yeah.
Which it's so crazy to me how people connect in other parts of the world and can do that like seamlessly now. So and then she could talk back to it in Spanish and it would text it out in whatever language. So yeah, but I will say I am impressed with anyone that learns another language because from an intellectual standpoint, I know four. And it takes a certain brain to be able to comprehend and learn a culture in that manner and then use the language. So that's always a bonus. It kind of shows me more depth of who they are. Whether they go to school or not, like just learning another language and being able to utilize it is cool. Man, I wish you the best of luck, bro. I feel like I know where you're at and I understand why. Like, cause I feel like I'm very much there. I feel like I would date a webcam model 100% if I knew I wasn't going to get serious about them. But I also know that there's still this like sliver of hopeless romantic in me that says, maybe I meet someone, fall in love with them, and live this amazing life. I've been married twice, divorced, so like who knows? But
I have to say I'm the same way, but realistically, in your 40s, you realize the chances of that are pretty
unicorns.
Rare. Yeah, it's pretty rare, especially in Medellín, and especially with everything going on and everything going on here. And
social media in general, I think women have lost the understanding of what value is in a man. That's a whole other topic. They listen to all the bullshit of the comments. Right?
If I really wanted to get married, I could go to a different country and find a nice, suitable wife that would probably be a virgin. But do I want that? No.
I will. I mean, and that's the thing. If I'm being honest, like I've done that, right? Like that's what I was saying. I've married the virgin. I've been with the virgin, and no, I wouldn't recommend it. That's not my thing. And I've done the stripper and the massage parlor worker and
there are a lot of better women to do with.
Yeah, I mean, not only that. For me, it's more of a, I respect 100% the woman that's got a very low body count. That's just not me. And I want with whoever I'm going to partner in life with, understand that like I am who I am, and like that's okay. Like it is what it is, and not accept it. I was just telling a friend this the other day. Like people go through this process of trying to understand and discover who they are, when the reality is they know exactly who they are. The conflict that they have is in accepting, but not only accepting, but celebrating who they are. Because the reality is the differences that make you who you are differences that shouldn't be accepted by you. They should be celebrated because it's literally the thing that makes you your unique self. But most of us are so caught up in worrying about what everybody else thinks from their perception, their limited outlook, their limited closed mind approach to life in general, that most people don't get to this level of freedom where they're like, yeah, fuck you. This is me.
That's one of the reasons why I texted you last night, was because you had a fresh outlook when there's really no YouTube videos on this subject at all. There's a lot of YouTube videos of don't fall in love with the webcam model. Don't travel to another country to meet the webcam model. There is nothing about I'm in Colombia and we hooked up with a webcam model. Nobody's talking about that.
No, and and it's, we said this, right? Like, guys, the reason that
like every guy's dream, like, my God, you're banging a webcam model. Like, what are you complaining about, right?
And they think it's amazing. And I'm like, I mean, the sex the first time I said this in the video wasn't great. After that, oh my God, yeah, it was like mind-blowingly amazing. But I also subsequently learned that she was really just replacing one addiction with sex with me, which is okay. Still not complaining. But
like there was a question you asked I did not answer. Okay, so Thursday she told me it's her time of the month. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Oh yes.
So Thursday it's her time of the month, and so we didn't have sex Thursday night. We cuddled, talked, had a good time. There was no sex involved. I wasn't expecting sex. She told me, texting her, do not expect sex tonight. I am not going to give you sex. And I was like, that's totally cool. I'm not expecting sex. And I wasn't expecting sex. I didn't push the matter. But then Friday we did have sex, and she was bleeding. And then I find out Sunday it's not because it's her time of the month. It's from having dildos. So that's another thing you got to think about with a webcam model. They're totally numb down there most of the time. They don't enjoy sex with you.
Dude, this is the thing that I said this in, I think it was part 2.
Yeah, and they're so good at faking it, you don't even know.
Yeah, that's one of the things that for me, twofold, right? Like, the benefit of me dating the first webcam model is that, I pulled her out of webcamming. She set up in my apartment and webcammed. I think she did 2 times. And I talk about these things, but then, she stopped. And it was months before she returned because I was like, yo, I'm not going to continue to pay for this lifestyle. And you're not doing the thing that you're supposed to do. So you want to go back to work, go back to work. And that's when we started having discussions about like, yo, like the energies and things have changed. And these are the reasons. And there was multiple reasons involved. But one of them was like, yeah, like everyone is like, oh my God, there's these sexy creatures. And I'm like, yo, they're numb down there, bro. Like they're fucking themselves all day. Could you imagine having sex for an 8-hour shift every day? I know they're not working 8 hours, but like they're working as many hours as necessary with these heavy vibrations, with these dildos of different sizes. And like, then you think that they're supposed to come.
They have that love
like,
sense in them 24 hours. The whole shift, they have this love sense in them. So when they get a tip, it buzzes.
Right. Like, so like those kind of things, I don't think people recognize and understand. So yeah, I get that. It's terrible, man. It's one of those things.
To do this, you have to have a certain level of understanding, more so than a regular woman.
Yeah, or not. I mean, but I feel like that's in the sex industry in general. Like that doesn't have to be a webcam model. That's just if you're willing to date. I mean, and that's not just. It's not. I don't want to like demonize the sex industry. Like the sex industry exists because sex is a need.
I'm totally cool with it, but like,
no, I know you and I are absolutely.
Would be like, because I have dated a woman that got raped, and you had to be really careful with what you were doing.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to say. It's like it's not even just it's not sex workers. It's women in general. I think most people don't take the time to truly understand some of the traumas just in general in life with people. I mean, we're humans, and the impact of things from yesterday do affect our tomorrow. But the way in which they affect our tomorrow is something we can deal with today. So, take that as wise words, take that as whatever you want it to be, but it's the truth.
But on the same token, I wouldn't be a Captain Save-A-Ho and try to get her out.
No,
it's like a drug addict. They have to want to quit. You can't make somebody quit drugs. They have to want to quit.
Or the construction. You can't make someone quit construction. They have to want to do it. I will say this. This will be the last thing. This is like signing off on this is just like a thing to chew on. Most people here in Colombia, what I have found in the sex industry is even if they tell you they don't like it and they want to get out of it, they're lazy and they don't actually want to work. I think most people, and I find this 100% of the time, not just in Colombia, but people that look at my lifestyle as if it's something glamorous, because I don't think my life is glamorous. I'm working every day in my life to make my life better for tomorrow. And for some, they'll be like, dude, you're living the dream. How could you make your life better tomorrow? Fuck, I went to sleep last night at 4:00 this morning. I was up this morning at 7. I still got to go to the gym. We changed the recording of this time because I didn't go to the gym when I wanted to because I was dealing with client things. And the reality is I already know I'll probably be up until 4:00 tonight. So like, I love that. I love the freedom that it gives me. I spend every free moment I can and when I can make time with a beautiful woman with me. And I love that. But it also comes at the expense of the long hours that I put in and the work that people don't see. And so, webcam modeling is easy in the sense of you don't have to work as diligently as it would take if you were, trying to create a business or build a brand or what have you. And that's not to say there are not webcam models with amazing brands that they've taken the time to build up the social medias and the following, etc. There is. But even still, like you had pointed out, if there's 85,000 women here, we drill it down, there's probably 2% that make decent money. And that 2% have turned their webcamming into a legitimate job. And so all of that said, I just say, hey, good luck to anyone that's in the sex industry. Please stay safe. For anyone that's investigating or having fun or deciding to date someone in the sex industry, have fun. But be safe and be aware and guard your heart, because before you know it, it could get stolen, and then you'll be in this painful situation where you didn't want to play Captain Save-A-Ho, but you ended up in this spot where you were hoping that things would change and turn out differently, and they didn't. So, more often than not, I find that to be the case. But you sound like you got your head on your shoulders and you know what's going on. So, just don't give her the back half, bro. That's that's it. That's my 2 cents.
Long enough, you got to. If you're here long enough, you understand this place slowly but surely.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Anything that you'd like to say to someone that's just now coming to Medellin for the first time, or Colombia in general?
If this is their first time coming to Medellin, just pay for it. Go to there's Casa de Putas you go to, pay for it. Don't think you're just going to meet some random girl and you're going to fall in love and she's going to come back to your place on the first date and have sex. No, it takes months, and these women that are truly looking for that are going to want to date you for months before sex. They're not going to have sex with you immediately. So if you meet some chick that had sex with you the first night, there's ulterior motives there. Doesn't matter how good looking you are, doesn't matter how much money you are, they don't care.
No, and so would you agree? I know I keep saying this is going to be the last question or the last thing I say, but seriously, would you agree, based on the 8 years I've been in Colombia, that Colombia has a hookup culture?
No. In general, no.
What not in general would you say?
If she has done sex work in the past and she likes you, yeah, she'll come back to your house and fuck you that night. If she has never been in the sex industry, no, it's going to take months.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so I want to put this out here because he just said it. And if you go back to part 1, when we started talking about the sex industry and the prevalency of how often and how many of the women here are sex workers or have been sex workers, this is why I will continue to say Medellin, Colombia, Medellin specifically, but Colombia in total. We just lost audio. Okay. Colombia in total, it does have a hook culture, and the hookup culture exists because of how prevalent sex work is. So that for me is what I will say. I'm going to the gym later. After this recording, I'm going to go to the gym. And I can guarantee you that there will be a woman that does not need any of my help that would ask me for help because she's hoping that evolves into something, which is fine. But there's a hookup culture because if I said yes, I guarantee you, if I invited her over the first time I invite her over, I could fuck her. And I don't say that bragaciously. I say that as the reality of the hookup culture exists because of so many sex workers here. Whether it have been a sex worker from today or a sex worker that used to do it 2 years ago, the reality is them opening their legs is easier than most other people. So, would you agree with that?
I agree.
All right. Well, listen, ladies and gents, this has been a great part 1 and part 2. I hope if you did not listen to part 1, check show notes for the description and links that have been mentioned. Jesse, thanks so much for coming on, man. I appreciate you taking the time. I appreciate you sending the comment. I appreciate your candor in this very open conversation of life. And we can talk more offline. If there's anything that you need while you're here, I always tell people, hit me up. Please stay safe. But, I really, truly fucking mean that. If you are listening to this right now and you're in Colombia, I don't give a shit where you're at in Colombia. If you are American and find yourself in a fucked up spot, I am on my socials and I don't sleep very much. So just hit me up and I will do everything I can in my power to help you out. Love, peace, hair grease. Guys, be new, be you, be Neo. Peace.
Laters.